Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time, please hit the like and subscribe button and follow along with us. We do most of our feeds live, so there's always interaction with everybody. And like I said, if you would, in the corner, just hit the like and subscribe for more. For more videos. Anyways, so we're going to be modifying the DPS-1200SBA. I know there's a few different ones out there. Not everybody finds the information. So, since I was lucky enough to find the information off of a few other pages, I do want to thank everybody else in the community here on YouTube that has done videos. Otherwise, I would not be doing this one myself without a lot of extra research. However, now the way I'm going to be modifying this, which I already took the screws out, the way I'm going to be modifying this is actually kind of a hybrid. It's actually from two different builders that do radio communications. So I did some experimenting here a few days ago, and I came up with something that may or may not be easier for people. One of the things that I did like about it, by making slight changes that I did, it makes it easier for everybody to get in, and you don't have to have long jumpers to run back and forth from one side to the other. So the first thing is orientation, obviously. Now, the orientation on this, the way I have it right now, is left to right. The handle, as you're seeing here, this is actually in my left hand. So everything we're going to be working on is on the right side. One of the things to get this out of the way that I found that's super cool, neat, and easy to do, take a small pair of vice grips. You don't have to clamp very hard. Just clamp just enough on there and let that roll itself out of the way. That way you can expose it, because you don't want to actually do away with this being your thermal pad. So anyways, let me switch over to my other glasses. Hello, Three Maid, Mr. Donkey Stomper. How you doing, Chad? All right, so as everybody's known, we've got different mods out there, but not all of us have been doing videos on it. So I'm going to try to zoom in as much as my camera and show you guys what I'm going to be doing. I'll explain it as I go along too. So part of this is where I got fueled from, other guys, just like two of them that are watching right now. Three Made, one of these is actually in part of with you, because of where I did some experimenting and I've got the wrong glasses on. With these, the doctor can see you now. By the way, any of you guys that are working on things, I bought these off of Amazon. These make the jeweler's glasses completely useless. They do have a built-in light. They're adjustable. You can see over the lenses as well as under the lenses while they're still flipped down. It gives you a couple different adjustabilities on it. Besides, you can swap out these lenses for like 5 different variations. I think the description is actually incorrect on the screen when you order them, because it says it only goes up to about five times, and these are like, I think, 15 times, and they've got like a 25 times magnification as well. So they've got a huge variety, that fits almost everybody. So, all right. So let's see if we can get in here. The old camera stand will move. And I can get close enough where I can see with my big mitts. All right. All right, so let me get a little pointer here. All right, so as everybody else has already stated, we've got 2 adjustments. There's actually a third. I don't know what this is because I haven't looked it up. That's all the way over here to the side by the rectifier. So I'm going to tell you guys, do not make an adjustment there. We don't know what it does. So let's just leave well enough alone with that one. The other two, one is for the crowbar circuit, which is going to be on my left. The other one is going to be the voltage adjustment. So hopefully, you know, I'm hoping that I can get in there close enough where you guys can see it. I do have another type of camera. Unfortunately, I'm still having problems getting the Elgato set up to where I can use the other camera that I've got that will actually really zoom in. But it's only good for still frames and things like that where you're not making any changes. But let's see if we can hold this up into the light. Let's see if I can kill one of these lights here real quick. Try to make it easier for you guys to see. Yeah, you might be able to. At that point, you might actually get ahead in life, right? Anyways, so I'm hoping we can get down in here deep enough. Focus. Like I said, it's a little blurry. I don't know if I can clean that up here with the camera or not. We'll zoom out. See if we can change the lighting here. I'm trying to change the lighting here with the camera and see whether or not we can't make it better or worse. Wasn't sure what that button did. All right, so sadly, it looks like that is the best my camera is going to get. So we'll have to partially explain it here. But anyways, yeah, you've got your two trimmers here. Anyways, you've got two solder points. Is the one on the right here for me, the way I've got it orientated. It has two pads on the back and one pad on the front. Now, what we had been doing was we've been coming off of the secondary pad that's all the way to the left, and we're going to go all the way over here to this junction over here. So I've actually alleviated all that travel. What we're going to actually do is we're going to solder to the front of this. We're going to wrap it around. We're going to solder it to the end of this capacitor. So now we're only looking at this much of an area that we've got to go over instead of trying to run all the way over here. This part here, or side anyways, correlates exactly to this point all the way over here. So that's going to be the first mod, and then the other one is going to be the same as what you guys have seen with everybody else up inside here. We'll move that cable out of the way. If I can get my glasses in there. And then we are going to solder, there's two op amps. We're going to solder to the one that's all the way to the left here, the second leg over. So let's get that in there real quick. Take my glasses off so I can read the screen here real quick. We'll work for tips. Hello, Popcorn. Jeremy. Yep. Yep, I do agree with you, Chad. I mean, they're definitely a good power supply, and you don't have to worry about them. It's just, I know right now this is the kind of the craze. So not that I'm necessarily trying to follow along with everybody, but since people are asking questions more and more with them, I am going to use a few of them on a couple of different builds and kind of go from there, um, just because of all the questions. But I know that I have been looking into being able to buy these from the manufacturer as well, because there's actually a company that is still producing these yet today. What would be the best to set it for a 1x4? Depends on if the 1x4 has a variable or not. That would probably be your biggest thing. Um, I know you put about, if it's a 1x4, if it's like the 2879 driving the other four 2879s, I don't like to exceed about 35 to 40 watts PEP at the absolute. Generally, I like to run them about 30 or 35. Now, I am kind of a conservativist, mainly because of the fact that I don't want to keep blowing stuff up. It gets too expensive. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm looking at, Chad. Speaking of which, I did send you a text message here earlier for you to take a look at, and those are on the relays. Those are all confirmed prices. The wire should be a confirmed price, at least on the one gauge at this time. The other ones, I mean, it costs a lot of money to make a huge order, but I do have that price list there that I sent you, and that should kind of help out as far as for other possibilities. Well, I am getting a little on the horse side, so I got me some water here. All right, well, let's get this modded, and I'll show you here, guys, real quick, the results that I got out of it. So we got 15K resistors, a 10K, and a small jumper. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to bend our 15K at a 90. That way we can kind of get it down in there. And we're going to trim the one leg down that we just bent at the 90. So we're going to find a nice resting spot here. Get our fine solder out here. And pre-tin the end of our wire. And like I said, I do have to thank 3Made Amps for part of this, and part of it I have to thank Mr. BBI over at BBI Amps. So this is kind of a hybrid between two guys. Okay, once that's done, that up. I'm just using my thumbnail to kind of make sure that I'm not hitting the other side. I'll just leave that twisted up, because all we're going to do is just try to catch that corner, because there'll be enough solder go. It'll wick around it and it'll hold very, very well. Be careful not to cut the other components on the circuit board. All right, so we got the 15K in. Now comes the really fun one. Okay, so again, we're going to go with bending this at an approximate 90. And then you want to give yourself about 5/16 of an inch. Maybe a little less. Or at least 8 millimeters if you are into the metric. So, all right, so we got that tinned. Let's push this out of the way. We're going to get a solder bead on that second leg down here on the op amp. I don't know, that's got a little extra down there on that. Make sure you do not solder the legs together. Okay. Now that we've got that on there, I'm going to take my hemostats. And you're going to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to find 5 empty pads over in this area here. These are actually through-hole mounts. They're pinned, so if you're using the 1/8 watt resistor, you can really get by quite easily because you can fish that right through there. Give it a tug. You don't want to pull stupid tight, but you can pull some of the excess slack back out of that. Give it a slight little bend. That way it holds itself in place. And the wire goes directly over top of everything. And when you put your soldering iron to the back with a little bit of solder, it doesn't automatically take. You can put some on the other side and it'll wick right through, hold itself in place. Bada bing, bada boom. Now all we got to do is make our changes. Okay. Let's go back up here to the front before we start hooking up, because we're going to have this jumper installed as well. All right, so the jumper is going to be on the first pin. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the circuit board. And I do apologize that my camera is not that great. Pretend our little jumper. I'll slip this kind of back in there because we do have, remember, this has got live voltage in it if you're going to adjust it like I am going to. So make sure you do tuck that in before making any voltage adjustments. So we'll plug this in here first, then plug it into the wall. Now, the reason why I modded this differently than everybody else is because of the fact that, number one, I wanted to get away from trying to travel all the way across the board with it. The other thing is by moving that resistor to the front instead of to the one side, it actually gives you a little more, not a lot, but it does give you just a little more adjustability to the little potentiometer that's on there. So if you're like me and you like to run things at around 14.5, this is the way to go. Okay. Now, the first thing that I did on this was I'll turn the potentiometer all the way on my left. I'm going to set it center. Okay, and we currently have, if I can see through these glasses here, currently have 14. Let me get that off there. Okay, we've got 14.89 volts. We can get in there. And this time it's going to make me into a liar. All right, so now if you see it do this, and drop and get you some crazy numbers, you've moved it one way or the other way too far. So just unplug it for a few seconds. And the last 3 of these that I've done, I never had a problem adjusting the voltage. Most of these little tuners I've got, they're just about wore out. And there we are, 14.5. All right, so easy peasy squeezy. See if I can get that one centered just a little bit better. Yep. Just got to see how far up I could go with it. But yes, the short circuit, the crowbar circuit in this is very, very sensitive. As you guys can see, I didn't leave it unplugged long enough. But see, these are some of the pitfalls that nobody's showing you either. Go down. And it's still got voltage on it. Okay. I didn't get it far enough off of that. Okay. It's probably going to be the limit with what I've got right there is 15. Come on, get in there. And sometimes I go past that 0.2, so. Yeah, 15.1 is as high as it's going to let me get up to. Now, granted, you can change the voltage variable or the resistor in there, and you can come up with all different values. You know, my big thing is I wanted to run 14.5. All right, so we'll put it right back where I wanted it. But close enough value there to hit the 14.5. You can go up to the 15 volts with it. You know, as far as to stay within a safe range. Like I said, I prefer to run the 14.5 myself just because I always heat on the side of caution. I don't like the overvolt stuff, especially if you got like a 32 pill, you know, 64. Otherwise, you're going to see Chad Jolly a whole lot. You're going to make him smile every time you send your amp in that's a 32 or a 64, and he has to put you know, 30 or 60 transistors in because they're all blowed from overvolting. So, you know, keep that in mind, guys. You know, keep your voltages simple. It's not worth the extra 10 watts. All right, guys. Well, I don't have a whole lot of time this evening. I've been working on some price lists for some other merchandise and stuff, but you know, I did want to get in here again this evening and do, like I said, a little quick video and you know, show you a couple of different ways that, you know, everybody's going to try to find their own version of it. You know, like I said, I enjoyed doing it this way just because it gave me a little more flexibility on that variable, and those variables can be broken off of the circuit board. So, you know, make sure you have either a nice ceramic tool. This one, I've had this one almost since the dawning of my existence into radio communications. So this is almost 30 years old. I need to actually take and file the tip of it, but I use it for, you know, specific things. Generally, I'll tune those with a ceramic screwdriver. But yeah. Anyhow, guys, like I said, hopefully that helps out somebody out there in the radio community. Like I said, I do apologize. You know, I guess that's the perfect angle because I can see that now as far as the two different adjustments. So depending on, like I said, your orientation of how you've got it, you know, we've got our handle that's over here. I'll just run that back one more time with you. I know this is turned around from where we started with the video. We've got our little ceramic tuner out here. But all I did was solder to the front leg of our little variable pot. I wrapped it around to this first capacitor, soldered it to the end. Over here, we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over, and this is where we hooked in for the little op amp. It's down inside here. And we went counting from right to left instead of left to right. We went 1, 2, second pin over. And that's where we soldered at. Now, I do want to take one more piece of good advice that I got from BBI amps. And I thought about that a lot. Now, right up front here, you're going to see some schmoo and goo and whatever else, which is that heatsink compound. This is actually a ceramic glue. But if you pop that ceramic glue out, that little holder that's around that capacitor, and you may have to break that loose. And then that way you can free that little thermistor on the end, which is what they're using for the heat sink. Tuck that in there towards the front. That way it is more centralized, since this is where most of our heat's going to be produced. You know, that heat's going to blow down there on that, and that way your fans will go into super high speed whenever it kicks up and starts really getting good and warm. So it'll actually cool it down before you hit, you know, thermal meltdown or anything else. It'll kick in back here as well, but it will kick on a little sooner this way. So yeah, that's something else that I've played around with on the bench just to kind of see, and that does make a huge difference. So, you know, I'll give credit where credit's due. Luke Miller, thank you again for suggesting that. You know, just trying to make the parts and what we have last that much longer. As far as people that are looking for these new, be prepared. I have found these, as far as on one of the sources that I've looked at. If you really do some shopping, you can buy these brand new for about $130 a piece. And at that point, it's still really well worth purchasing at $130 a piece. So anyhow, guys, take care. I enjoyed your time with you. And we're going to finish up a few little things and then head on into work for the evening. Hello, Squirrel. Again, guys, well, hello, Warren. I haven't seen you for a long time in there. But yeah, like I said, I'm getting ready to head off to work. But hopefully, guys, you enjoyed the quick little video. Like I said, I'm trying to get out here a little bit more. And I am going to try to find a few other modifications. I know some people have put variable modifications on these. I don't know if that would be something that I really would want to do. I haven't checked into that as far as that in depth, because I've got a lot of other work yet. So it's one of those, I'll come back to that and see if there's a good method. But anyhow, you know, still a good source of reliable power. But if you guys would, if it's your first time again, please hit the like and subscribe and help us out with more videos. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good evening.